the cloud. Hi, everybody. I'm Dee Lisa. I'm the dream doula for women. I help them live their best lives.
Hi, I'm Coco. My partner and I help couples who are struggling with a desire gap, and we teach them how to bridge that gap so that they can be deeply connected and have joyful relationship.
Okay, and let's just be clear. Desire gap means one partner wants more sex than the other, right?
Correct. Yes.
And I know a woman who was constantly complaining that her husband didn't want to have sex with her, but she wanted to have sex with him. And she's like, I even like took a bath and I walked down naked. And he's like, what are you doing? So I'm sure that there's a better way than just like showing up naked with your reluctant husband to spark the fire.
Yep. And it's surprising to a lot of people how many more women are desiring more intimacy than men because usually it's the other way around. But it is we have a lot of couples who woman is struggling with the intimacy gap. And you're right, the common fix is to, like you were, saying, just be
Yeah,
naked
just try
or
to
do
seduce
something.
them. And then is if there's an intimacy gap, there's probably um, a reason that one partner wants it more often than the other, but also, isn't there just kind of a set point where some people would say, I love to have sex 3 times a week, and someone else would say, I love to have sex once a month, and then those people maybe shouldn't get married.
Right. Exactly. I mean, the study says that like once a week is average healthy relationship, but
Mhm.
it's different for everyone.
Right.
And when you have the desire gap, I think one of the hardest thing is that one with less desire kind of sets the tone.
Oh, oh, I never thought about that. Of course, that makes sense.
So it's really, most of the cases, it's not mutual.
Hmm.
So first, we have to bring them to the middle point, right? It can't be having lots of sex because one person wants it and this person is kind of feeling the pressure but doing it because this person spouse is obligated or feel pressured.
Right.
But if you go along with the one who has less desire, you get frustrated and you're not satisfied, and then that creates a conflict, and they will have arguments and that gets heated, and usually person with lower desire shuts down and become very passive in the relationship, and then not only sexual physical part of the intimacy is suffering, it affects the emotional intimacy and all area of their relationship in the long run.
Right. And as I've heard, which may or may not be true, you probably know about all the studies that women need to be emotionally involved with a partner if they're going to have really great sex.
That is true for some women.
Not for everyone. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And it also true to men.
Some men need that. Yeah.
Yes. So couples we work with, especially wife wanting more intimacy and men has low desire. Men are wanting more emotional intimacy and connection,
Mm,
and woman wants that part too, but she really just needs physical intimacy.
right.
Hmm.
Right. Well, and do you teach people to have physical intimacy with themselves to satisfy
Yes.
themselves when their partner can't
Mhm.
do it?
I mean, self-pleasure is so important, not just so you can relieve yourself or you can pleasure yourself because you are not having physical intimacy or sex with your spouse. Self-pleasure allows you to learn about your body. Then
Oh,
you can
right,
communicate that to your partner.
right. So you can say, oh, I really like this.
Yes,
Yeah,
because a lot of us are taught that is a bad thing to do. A lot of people feel guilty when you're self pleasuring. So we need to take that out and you are doing it in a safe space
right,
with your partner.
right. And
So
when,
we actually encourage self pleasure um, together.
right, okay. So you're doing it with your partner,
Yes.
and then your partner can see, how you can pleasure yourself and what works for you. And maybe,
And sometimes that's a very huge turn on.
yeah, yeah. And then do you help couples with their, for lack of a better word, their kinks? Their
Mm-hmm.
kinks. So
Yes.
and there might be some societal shame around that too. How do you help them through that?
Huge. So it's really step by step. So, yes, when couples are suffering lack of intimacy, they want to have sex like today.
Yeah.
But there is many reasons, past hurt. Um, a lot of things are in from this A to B.
Yes.
And we need to bring the healing first. So we don't hash out the past heart because that just leads to blaming and just put everybody in the negative space.
Hmm.
So yes, we do look at, what happened, but we don't stay there. We just keep moving forward and bring
Right.
the healing.
Yeah.
And we create that safe space first so that they can be authentic, they can be vulnerable, they can be truthful. Then they feel more comfortable or feel safe or feel confident to start opening up their fantasies, things that they always wanted to explore. And we also teach mirroring communication. What I mean is that you really listen to your partner when they're sharing, and all you say is just repeat what you heard. You are not promising to do it, or you don't give your opinion. So the other person
Okay. So
really feels.
that's how partners would share their most intimate fantasies. Someone would just be compassionately listening,
Yes,
not in that moment saying, ew, or I would do that with you, or just listening and saying,
right,
"Oh, you would love to do this or that."
right. So,
Oh,
like, for example, say, I always fantasized, I want to masturbate in front of you. And the other person just repeat. So, you're telling me that you want to masturbate in front of me because it excites you. She's not saying no or yes or what she feels about it. She is simply listening to her husband sharing this.
yes.
And as we repeat this process, and sometimes in the beginning it's awkward and uncomfortable, But
Hmm.
more you practice this communication and really learn to listen with compassion, with kindness, without judgment, then you feel more safe. You start to trust the connection again. You trust your partner again. Then we can go into kinks and, whatever the fantasy or desire, we can explore that.
Right. Oh, that's amazing. Um, do you tend to work with couples of all ages? And I specifically like, what's the oldest couple you've worked with? Like, how old are some of the people that come to you?
We generally work with couples in 40s and 50s,
Hmm.
but we have personally known that young couples in their 20s have the same problem.
Right.
So, young men not needing or desiring sexual intimacy and his girlfriend wanting more.
Yeah.
So, it's not about we are getting older or our hormones are changing. So it is much deeper um, topic or conversation than um, men is losing their ability because of the age.
Yes, I think there's a lot of advertisement out there for enhancement tools for the men,
Right,
as if the whole problem is they can't do it anymore.
right. I mean, blue pills, if they do have a medical and actual physical condition, yes, I mean, medication may help. But the couples that we work with, it has nothing to do with their age or hormones or physical condition or medical condition.
Mm,
It's
mm.
more sometimes in a lot of times it's more emotional, um, or like how you grew up
Yeah,
learning about sex, right?
yeah, yeah.
Or if you're religious or if you're spiritual, like there are so many different reasons than just physical condition or age.
Someone told me once I don't remember what religion they grew up in. I'm going to say Catholic, but it could be something else. And they said they had never seen their spouse naked, ever, that they always came to bed with their underwear on, and they always turned out the lights when they dressed and undressed. And that was because of their very rigid religious upbringing. I would think it might be hard to have really deep intimacy with someone who you could never see naked.
I
Maybe you
have to
know, you
share.
know.
I have to share. My husband used to be that.
Yeah, yeah,
um, so my background is Japanese, and we are very comfortable with nakedness.
yes,
We have public bath. We have public hot springs. Um, and my husband is American, and I have known many who are not comfortable with nakedness, even with a partner.
yeah.
So, now that we sleep, we go to bed every night naked, um, holding each other. But a lot of people are not comfortable in their birthday suit.
Yeah, that's interesting. It is a cultural thing. I grew up, my father was from Finland. So we took weekly saunas together as a family. So I was always comfortable just being naked and sweating in front
Mm-hmm.
of other people. It was like it wasn't a sexual thing, it was a bathing ritual.
Yes.
But seeing people in different states of dress or undress was never odd to me. I thought it was perfectly cool and fine,
Mm-hmm.
normal. And then I grew up to realize that other people were very shy about that, quite a
Mm-hmm.
lot of them. Mm.
And this part of our relationship, it's not something that a lot of people talk about before they go into relationship, right?
Yeah. Yeah. What would your suggestion be? Like if you were going to be coupled with someone and start a relationship with them, a marriage or a long-term love affair, what would you suggest they talk about before they actually go do that so that they wouldn't have an intimacy gap?
Hmm. I would suggest that really if you see the possibility of with this person and when you are feeling love, growing love towards this person, just be honest and authentic and do talk about your thoughts on intimacy, what you like, what you don't like, what is your expectation, what your brief, what you believe in intimacy, because we all have the conditioning, right? How your parents were,
Yeah.
or what you learned, and from the society, from the culture, from your parents, or from even from your friends.
Yeah,
So
I know.
this.
Because how do we learn about sex and intimacy? We don't learn it in school. You
Mhm.
might learn it in some kind of class at a higher level education if you're studying psychology of relationships. You might, but not really. And so we learn it as little kids. We're like talking about how do they do it? What's it like? And then you try it out yourself. And then we're all just kind of faking it until we figure out something that we love. And then suddenly we need someone like you to help us.
Yeah. And also, a lot of us, maybe especially more men, learn sex from porn.
Yeah, that's becoming more and more common now. And
Yes.
so I heard somebody say recently, they said to their young, maybe teenage boy, porn is not real sex. Porn is like a horror movie.
Hmm.
Um, maybe you see bodies, but that's not how people like to actually have sex. And I think that for young people, that porn was their sex education. Oh, how do you get them out of that? What mistaken belief they have about what good sex is? Because
Hmm.
good sex in a porn is not good sex for most humans.
Correct. So, majority of cases, men do things to their woman from what they learn from porn.
Mm,
A lot of times, women are not feeling so much pleasured, but women tend to fake a lot too. So, a lot of couples, they just don't communicate when they're making love.
mm. And so the women will just fake it so the guy will stop, right?
So guy will keep thinking, oh, she's enjoying this, she likes this,
Right,
until tells him otherwise.
right.
And
Yeah,
there are language, and there is the way she can communicate without hurting his ego, without hurting his pride.
right.
Because men has to, we need to make sure men's heart is open to
Mm.
receive what she is telling him, right? Because this is for both of them. More they learn about each other, sex becomes better. But without talking about it, without communicating, sex won't get better.
So do you suggest to couples that they talk about sex while they're having sex or before or after or all those things?
All those things.
Yeah.
And even though porn is not for educational purposes, sometimes we do recommend watching porn to couples, watch it together. for
Mhm.
stimulation. So I mean, I think there is places for everything.
Right.
And um, so foreplay is not just kissing and, touching. It can include conversation.
Oh,
We
yes.
we teach erotic conversation. So there is foreplay before sex, during sex, and aftercare is also important.
Ooh, say more about that. I
So
think
it's
someone
called
listening might need to
afterglow.
know that.
So it's called afterglow,
Mm,
and it's an actual I don't think it's medical term, but afterglow is proven to give couples more chance to connect deeper because of
mhm.
all the oxytocin and all the chemicals that
Right.
get released with coming together. So taking care of each other after sex is might be more important than during the sex.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's a great idea. And I would imagine for each couple it's different. Like maybe some people like to snuggle, somebody wants you to get up and make a snack or whatever it
Right.
is that you would love
Hmm.
after sex, then negotiate that.
Yeah, because making love is not just the few minutes that when the motion is going.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It can actually start in the morning
Oh yeah. Yeah.
because that builds tension and anticipation, and that sparks more fire and passion.
Oh, that's beautiful. But can you take that too long? Like if somebody says on Friday night we're gonna have a sexy date, but it's Monday, and you're thinking about it all week, and then Friday comes and you're like, you're not into it. Did they wait too long?
You can start like 2 weeks before,
Okay.
but it has to be intentional. So you don't get to Friday and like, I'm not in the mood anymore,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So in the beginning, till this becomes part of you as a couple, you have to do things intentionally. You have to do foreplay intentionally. You learn to dirty talk or erotic conversation intentionally.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You kiss intentionally. You touch intentionally. Just touching your spouse's shoulder when you come home. Everything has to be intentional. And when you're intentional in a sexual way, energy changes.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I have a friend who's 80 and she's got a partner. She lives in another country. I won't mention which one so she doesn't get blown up on the internet. But she and her partner have, they see each other not every day, but for periods of time. And she said they've made this agreement because of their age and because they don't want to disappoint one another, that when they're going to bed, if one of them does not want to have a sexual uh, adventure that night, they will just say so. They'll say, I don't feel it tonight. Let's go to bed. And then they know that they can cuddle, but there's no other expectation. That's the way that they have made their relationship really beautiful and juicy. And so if they say nothing, that means they're up for it. If the other partner wants to, you know, have an intimate moment. Do you suggest things like that to your people?
I love that because that's an agreement they made together, right? So it's
Mhm.
not a rejection. It doesn't create resentment
Yes. Yes.
because both of them mutually came to agreement.
Yes. Yes, because
So
that's the other thing I think that comes up with couples when there's an intimacy gap. One will reach out and the other one will say, I don't want to. and the one that reached out might feel rejected.
Yes. And
And so,
rejection is one of the biggest reason for resentment.
yes.
And especially for women, that rejection hurts everything about ourselves.
Yeah.
And we start to question, okay, am I not attractive anymore? Am I getting old? Am I gaining too much weight? We start to lose ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and by the
So,
way, let's dispel that myth right now that men care if we have long eyelashes, or if men care if we have a little bit of extra weight on our body. They don't care, do they?
no, no.
They don't care. They want to love us because they love us, and they'll take us in whatever body we have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Women are always so concerned about, you know, their their wrinkles or their stomach being flat. And in my experience, the men just want a woman who's authentic and kind-hearted and who desires them.
Absolutely. But I have to admit, like, I have to consciously not go to that space. It is very easy for women to go to that place.
Yes, yes.
And it's not just when you have a partner. I believe partners should be aware of that fact
hmm
and be mindful and do what he can do to support her in that.
Yes, to make her feel beautiful.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Oh, that's beautiful. Well, why don't you share with the listeners how they can find you and how they can do this intimacy work? Because this sounds so beautiful. And
Thank,
what a gift you're giving to the planet to help people have love and intimacy in this physical way that's not always talked about.
right. Yeah, we opened ourselves up because we actually went through this ourselves because we felt that it's time for us or people, the society, to talk about this.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So how can people find you, Coco?
well, you can find us on all the social, and our name is at Coco and Scott, COCOAND SCOTT, and send us DM. We read them all, or comment. We reply all comments,
Great.
and there's a link that they can click to if they if anyone wants to chat with us. There's
I
a
love
link for
it.
that too.
I love it. Well, thank you for what you do in the world. And it's been such a pleasure to chat with you today. I'm really looking forward to making this live on the internet.
Thank you so much for this opportunity to chat with you and having me on your podcast.
Yes. Okay. Bye, everybody. Bye for now.